Thank you.
Oh God. Morning.
Morning.
Nice to meet you all. Thanks very much to Lincoln Chamber of Commerce for allowing me to come and speak with you. Thanks very much to Jenny in her absence, and also to Mike, who has been immensely helpful in the last couple of days. So this is what we're looking at this morning, and we'll go through some bits and pieces. Ideally, I'd just like this to be positive, and that you leave with some bits of takeaways that might help you, or help your colleagues, or help your organisations. And you might have something that you could just use in life, and it would help you and benefit you. I think there might be a little bit too much content, but we'll see. Is Bacon Babs now going to steal me thunder just when I'm on a roll?
I'm sorry, I thought
That's all right.
you wouldn't even miss me.
We can just dish them out, can't we?
Yeah, I would
Nonchalant
say
as we
that
do, I
it's a good
suppose.
time to do that, Ian. Are you happy to do that?
Oh.
Right, I'll please down. There we go. Setting up well. No, are you sure?
You sure?
Yeah, no. Can I pass the list down? We do have some more. There is fruit as well on the table. If anybody would
Grab a bit of breakfast before I leave.
But sorry, it's a bit like being at the theatre, well, kitchen cinema, I should say. Really shows my age.
No, that's not bacon, that's one of you. You got the lucky dip. I got the lucky dip. Jenny.
You've got the sauces.
It's a lot better than the business card. There's only
Yeah, it's a good way to get them here though.
Yes,
If we'd been waiting, it would have taken longer.
indeed.
Yes, all the sauces, Joy. All the sauces at the back, thank you. Will help. Yeah, I understand the sauces.
Yeah.
Lovely, thank you. Want any sauce? Oh, yes, you do need sauce. You need,
I'll get mine later, won't I? No.
Oh, there is actually a hostess trolley, and so we'll put yours in there.
We'll be good.
If there's no sauce. Would anybody like any sauces? Seems nothing fancy.
I'm starting.
Your sauces.
Oh, no, brown ones, please.
You certainly can. Thank you.
That's got a nice picnic feel to it, hasn't it? Now,
It's got a really friendly feel, isn't it? Yeah, it's great.
loosen everybody up a little bit, you know. Once you
Definitely. And now it's over to you.
Yes, yes.
Thank you, Ian. Thank you for that.
So I'll just start again then. My name's Ian Best, and I'm a psychotherapist, and I have my own private therapy company based just outside Boston, and currently I work for the NHS as well. I'll start and all will sort of be revealed, really. Is that all right? Brilliant. So thanks again to Jenny, thanks to Mike, thanks to Lincoln Chamber of Commerce for this opportunity to speak with you. I want it to be positive, I want it to be helpful, and maybe you'll learn a little bit, and maybe there'll be something, a takeaway message that would be beneficial to yourself or your family or your colleagues, that kind of thing. I was saying, I think there might be a bit too much content, but we'll see, there might be a lot to rattle through. Jenny, from a time point of view, how long to speak for?
Well, I think you probably talk 20 minutes, then you probably have 10 minutes of
Yes.
questions. If it runs over, we're fine.
Sure.
Because I'm not sure how long the tour will take, Mike.
Sure.
Yours.
Yes, as quick or as long as people want.
Right, okay.
There's
So,
not that much to it.
right, so I think we will get it all in before 9 o'clock, but if it
Super.
runs slightly over, I think we'll
That's super, yeah.
do that. So half an hour
Yeah, or thereabouts. Great, I can just ease back a bit now then. I do like to sort of ask you how it's going, and I'll be asking you if I'm going too fast or if there's too much, so, you know, interact with me if you would. Anyway, let's crack on, shall we? So, mental health is like everywhere, every news bulletin, it's just kind of exploded, and it should have exploded years ago, but it's here and it's kind of woven into the fabric of culture, and I think it's not going away anymore, and bloody right that it shouldn't go away. So just a little bit about me then. So next month, I've done this for 10 years, which kind of blows my mind, and 8 of those years were with the NHS as a psychotherapist, and I left the NHS in February. I ran my own therapy company privately side by side for about 2 years and then left in February. But the NHS waiting list are through the roof, so I've temporarily gone back for about 6 or 8 months just to help them out, because the waiting lists are just sort of 17, 18 weeks to see somebody like myself on the NHS. 14,000? Anybody want to hazard a little guess of what 14,000 is in reference to?
The hours of therapy that you've given people.
Monthly salary?
Who would have thought that somebody would get that spot on the first time? Yes, absolutely. How did you guess that? I thought I'm going to milk this one for all it's worth. You know, there's a number of bad jokes I've told, a number of times I've been dumped. No, it is absolutely. It's the number of hours of one-to-one therapy that I've carried out. Yeah, so it's quite a few, so quite a bit of experience. What do we do? Well, as you may imagine, things like anxiety, depression, and low mood are kind of top of our list. I also work with people who have been traumatised for some reason. So people that have been in car accidents, or they have been attacked, or they've been in a hit and run, or some unimaginable thing like a roof caving in has fallen on them. So we work with sort of what you might call common mental health problems: depression, anxiety, panic, obsessive compulsive disorder, people who have shockingly low confidence and esteem, relationships as well, and things like what we call loss, where people have been through, say, multiple deaths of family and friends. So we do a bit of a wide range, really, of life's difficulties that can trip people up, and sometimes they trip people up for a long time. So how do we do it? There's 3 different types of therapy approaches we have. You may know CBT. It's been trendy for a long time, cognitive behavioural therapy. Does it ring any bells? Anybody know about CBT?
Yeah,
Yeah, a little bit. Very trendy, lots of evidence that it's a very, very, very effective form of therapy. This is a big old mouthful, abbreviated though to EMDR. EMDR is something that's used for trauma, for people who have flashbacks, or they have nightmares, or they feel detached. I can't rave about EMDR enough. Everybody should know about it. I can tell you all with a lot of confidence that I've seen virtual miracles with EMDR. It's incredible. It's a brilliant type of therapy. And then we have what we call humanistic counselling, which is mainly sort of used for relationships, loss, death, marriages, interactive problems, that kind of thing. It comes up often when do people need to sort of come and get some professional help? When is it just life that's shitty at times? And when is it a little bit something more that might need some kind of help with, or some professional intervention? The best definition of this that I ever heard was in 2010 with a professor in cognitive therapy. And his definition of when something becomes more than just kind of everyday stuff and it's more of a problem, it's when it impinges on your daily functioning. If it's starting to cause a problem on a regular basis and trip you up regularly, then maybe it's crossing the line from something that's life into something that's a little bit stickier and might want, somebody to help you out from a professional point of view. Does that all make sense? Yeah? Yeah? Am I going too fast? No. Great. These things are, as I said, it's not rocket science, but some telltale signs of, if we focus it on organisational stuff, on what your colleagues or your employees may be going through if they are struggling with some kind of mental health problem. It's not rocket science. I won't patronise you by reading them out to you, but these are kind of some classics, really. Do any of these kind of create any surprises? Would you say that they're fairly typical, what you would have thought?
Yeah.
If somebody's struggling, those kind of symptoms? Indeed, yeah, there's no big kind of hidden thing that's deep and meaningful. Classics, I suppose, would be pessimism, tiredness. They're really super common. Losing concentration, obviously being off work. Snappy is another one, but people trying to contain it. So they want to tell you to, but they just can't, they just hold it in. They're all fairly classics. And this is a heck of a common thing, really. I just can't tell you how many people over the years have said, but nobody knows Ian. I'm a really good actor and I can keep it hidden. So if people are struggling, very often they just won't tell you about it, or they'll just kind of contain it, and they're kind of Hollywood experts, really. So any surprises with any of that, really? I guess, like you said, they're all fairly typical symptoms that you would have thought. Okay. And then with regards to feeling, I'd have to make a bit of a confession to you. The words mental health, I can't stand them. They're just kind of cruel and they go through me like a knife, really, because nobody talks about physical health. If you've got diabetes or an ingrowing toenail or you've got asthma, nobody says, oh, that's a physical health problem. But everyday stuff is a mental health problem. It's like, dun, dun, dun. I hate it, but it's an easy way to refer to what we're talking about. And when it comes to work and struggling with mental health, these are some very, very, very common fears. I suppose, again, none of these will shock you or surprise you. They are all classic, and these problems and these fears can, shake people to the bone, really, with, oh my godness, about what will happen. Stigma and being judged, as you might imagine, is massive. Being seen as weak also is hugely difficult hurdle. Being misunderstood, again, enormous. Nobody will understand Ian. I don't understand it myself, so how do I expect anybody else to understand it? Getting the sack is huge, letting other people down and letting themselves down. People will laugh. These are all things that really can kind of paralyse a person before they even think about coming to see somebody like me and trying to do something about it. A little bit more along those lines, again, I suppose there's no sort of great surprises, being seen as flaky. If it's helpful for any manager or organisational person that's here this morning, people often tell me is that work might make some changes, but when I go back, it will just go back like it was. So that's a really common fear, that yeah, they'll say they'll do it, but then 6 months down the line, it will be just like it was, and that's how I wound up here in the first place. So that's a big fear. Uncertain whether or not to tell your boss or your colleagues what will they think, what will they say, and also going back to work after feeling unwell, really. Will I be able to cope? Will I be able to manage? Will my role have gone? Will somebody have taken my desk, my spot, my roles, my duty? You can see how it all gets pretty interwoven, can't you, really? And somebody that feels a little bit shitty and is down or struggling, all of this just kind of compounds it and makes it worse and worse and worse, so the hurdles become greater and greater. So everything kind of gets a bit convoluted and then a bit top-heavy, and then people don't really know whether they're coming or going, really. We all making sense so far?
Yep.
You having a good time?
Yep.
Oh, you're a bunch of liars. All right, so this might get interesting. So we've got like, I don't know, 8 minutes to turn you all into psychotherapists. So that's a bit of a tall order, but we'll give it a go. What not to do if you're with somebody that's struggling or is not coping particularly well. What's not a great idea to do? This is probably the most common thing that I hear, is where people say to people who've struggled, are you still worrying about that? Is that still bothering you? Haven't you got over that yet? And take it from me, as the man that sits in the room with people opposite them, this is huge. They'll say, bloody hell, Ian, they say to me, haven't you got over it yet? My colleagues go, are you still thinking about that? Is that still bothering you? and it just sends people round the twist. That one expression is enormously damaging, really. This might be an interesting one for you, is sort of superimposing your own experience on other people. Does that make sense to anybody, what that kind of means? Yeah? The best example I ever heard of this was when I first started out in about 2001 with a really amazing lecturer, and she said it's a little bit like if you've got headaches and you're having a conversation with somebody who also has headaches. So me and Jenny are talking, and Jenny says, do you know what, Ian, I've got this horrific headache. And I go, oh really, Jenny, is that right? I get them as well. Mine are really painful behind the backs of my eyes, that's awful. And all of a sudden I've kind of just demolished Jenny's experience, and I've took my experience and I've planted it on top of Jenny's, and I'm not really listening to what Jenny's headaches are like. I'm only listening to what my headaches are like and thinking her headaches are the same. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think that's quite common as well, isn't it? Tending to do that.
It's completely, it's easily done, you know, but still, people just sit opposite you thinking, oh, I may as well just keep my mouth shut,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And then we go again and again and again.
Yes.
Is it
doubt
slightly helpful though if people try to empathise with someone by, at a level? I appreciate there's a cut-off point.
Indeed there is, yeah, and there's a few more thoughts about that in a second or two, but absolutely, so much, definitely. As a little bit of a side point of view, just jumping off with what you said there about empathising to people, best tip I could ever give anybody about trying to empathise with a person or a colleague or whoever is ask them the most naive question you can think of. So if somebody says to you, I feel absolutely horrific, think of the most naive thing you could say. So, horrific, well, how's that? What's your definition of horrific? Or horrific, I've never heard anybody say that. And ask something completely naive and unassuming. I think you'll find that will get the best level of interaction, and it will bring about the best sort of support you can build. Did that make sense? Yeah? Is that all okay? Is this too much?
No.
All right? Not going too fast?
No.
Very good. Make demands when they feel they can't cope. Underestimate the impact a little bit, like haven't you got over it yet? These two kind of intertwine really. Forget that psychological issues can have wide-ranging spread effects. You wouldn't believe, say somebody's in a car accident and then 18 months down the line it's still really difficult, and you wouldn't believe that it affects, like, they can't take the kids to the karate club, and then the kids don't interact with their mates anymore, and then they get bullied at school, and then because of that their studies aren't so good, and my arm aches so I can't write as fast as I could. These kind of accidents tend to just permeate into all kinds of areas that you really just wouldn't think of, really, and this is worth bearing in mind as well. Virtually everybody says to me that before this experience I really would have said to somebody, oh, come on, put yourself together, or, you know, the good old, I don't know if you hear it, but I hear it nearly everywhere these days, it drives me mad, man up. Even my best mate says, come on, man up, and I go, all right, mate, you know, never mind. So people say that before this experience they would have said, pull yourself together. However, after going through an episode of not feeling great, people tend to have a significantly increased level of empathy and sympathy for people that struggle. All okay so far? Glad you came? Is that all right? What might help them? All right, it's simple. Just believe them. Somebody tells you they feel shitty or they can't cope or they're upset or they're down. Just don't doubt them. Just give them a little bit of faith and belief, and don't trample your own experience over them. Just simply believe them. I believe you. It's huge. And people say, I think they won't believe me. And if I tell them, will I be believed? They didn't believe me before, so will they believe me now? With regards to trying to create empathy between people, you can't be. For 10 years, I still say this now, just listening is enormous, because everybody's chattering these days and hardly anybody feels heard, so they're truly heard. So just listening is immense. And don't finish people's sentences for them. So somebody comes up and they start to say something to you, and people might insert the last word that they're going to say So they might say, you know, I feel really confident. I don't feel very confident when it comes to, and there's a great temptation from us all to insert the last little kind of punchline word. And if you can stay away from that, that massively allows people to tell you what's really happening for them rather than you plonking your own little bits and bobs on top. Again, stress listening is huge. This word normalise, somebody says to me, Ian, I've lost 5 people, close family members in the last 18 months. I feel horrific, I feel angry, I'm going to freak out, I'm walking down the street, I'm going to kill somebody. Don't you think that's normal? Don't you think that's reasonable and justified? Don't you think that it's absolutely understandable that you feel like that? A lot of people just sort of take their difficulties and then zoom them onto the cosmos and can't figure out quite what's happening when really it's just so totally normal and reasonable. And if people weren't reacting like they are reacting, there'd be something wrong. If somebody lost 5 family members, which is a true story in 18 months, if they weren't angry, there'd be something wrong. So to normalise something can often be very helpful. It's understandable that you feel like that. Just some simple problem solving. If I may, I'm a massive fan of the White Hart. I go there all the time. It's great. I love it a bit. It's my favourite venue. Somebody's struggling with shift schedules. Can we just do something about that? Something like that. Just a little tinkering around of a practical solution. Can you come in a bit later, finish a bit earlier, take a longer dinner break? Something like that can be just a little magic trick. And again, tied in with that, just some basic practicalities can go a very, very long way. Does anybody know the KISS theory?
Yeah, keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah, keep it simple, stupid.
Simple.
Yeah. Anybody not heard the KISS theory before this morning? Yeah, the KISS theory is great. Keep it simple, stupid. People kind of spiral out and they complicate things, and the KISS theory is very, very, very helpful. I use it from what I'm going to have for my breakfast or the next thing I'm going to do, because things can get excessively complex. So the KISS theory is really, really helpful. Paraphrasing is great. So somebody comes to you and they say, I just feel like I can't cope. It's all too much for me, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to stand here for the rest of the week and you know, manage it. Whatever they said, spin it around and put it back to them. So you're going through a lot of difficulties at the moment. Things are really getting a bit too much for you. Is the week going to feel a bit excessive? Do you think you can manage that? You'll find your interactions just kind of blossom. It's simple stuff, but it's super effective. Being compassionate to ourselves. I see this as like a famine of people who are kind to themselves. People say to me, Ian, I should be able to get over this. I should be able to pull myself together. Why can't I just turn it around? Everybody else deals with it okay. And people just really are tragically bad at giving themselves a break, basically, and just thinking, bloody hell, after everything I've been through, just take it easy for a bit. And to promote a bit of self-compassion. Haven't you been through enough? Haven't you worked hard enough? Goes a very, very, very long way as well. We all okay still? Mm-hmm. Nearly done. This is where my PowerPoint skills kind of comes a bit unstuck, really. I wanted to do like pizzazz, but I don't think I have. I don't even think if I click on this link it will go.
It might do.
Might it? Shall we give it a whirl? Yeah? We'll see. Oh, maybe not. I'm not into sort of like fear-inducing media. Like people that have depression, you'll relapse. You need to come and see a therapist. I can't bear that kind of promotion stuff. But I stuck this in and I read it and I thought, this is likely to be true. You don't want to go for 2 in a row, do you? 127 million?
How much it costs a small business? That's the only reason reading that bit down there. How much it costs businesses? Is it in lost hours or something?
Not far off. You're too switched on for me this morning. Apparently, it's 127 million is the hours, man hours lost last year due to employees with mental health problems. What I just think reinforces it's not going to go away anytime soon. If you are involved with any organisation, it would be insane of you not to factor it in, because it's coming out as part of life, part of employees' duty of care, etc. So it's here to stay. What's left? Okay. Just a little bit of promo stuff then. I'll do this really quick. I released my book, last November. It's here, you can buy it if you want. What did we say, about 50 quid or something? I can't remember.
It's got up
I think,
slightly.
yeah. It's £7.99 on Amazon. If you want one, you can have one for a £5 this morning. It's dead easy to read, 10 chapters, about 3,000 words per chapter. I can tell you with complete confidence, this is not a sales pitch, this is solid gold, man. The advice is to die for. This might seem a little odd, but if you know anybody that's struggling or anybody that might benefit from this, it's Christmas soon, and a £5 is an absolute giveaway. Besides that, there's a flyer on your seats letting you know that next February I'm giving 3 talks in a row at the White Hart. Can't wait. They're not finalised yet, but they're going to be in February. They'll be massive. The benefits will be enormous. That's something to bear in mind. And what would be the benefits of coming to see somebody like myself and the company? Well, hold on a minute. Forgive me if you're passionate about the NHS or if you're really kind of patriotic about it. If you are struggling and you want to come and see somebody like me, we'll wait about 18, 17 weeks. I know because I work for the NHS. And you'll have to be assessed, and then you might have to go into a group, and then if you're not feeling any better after you've been in a group, you might get one-to-one therapy, but who knows. So the access with myself is fast. People can be seen within days. There's no complex, convoluted access system. We can be flexible. People have appointments in the evening or the weekend. People are not in or out. With the NHS, you have treatment, and you're in. And then eventually, after a series of appointments, you get discharged and then you're out again. And if you need to be seen, you have to go back to square one, don't collect 200 quid, and off we go all again. It's not the case with Total Therapeutics. People can stay on my caseload and be seen as and when they're needed, like a dentist. I hope I have come across as a very open, available, personalised, down-to-earth guy, and that's what you get. That's how therapy is delivered. I think the expertise we have is immense. We have a very interactive organisation. People hardly wait for any time at all. People can come and see me if they want for 3 weeks in a row, and then we'll stagger it out by a month. Can't do that with the NHS either. And we can also have contact in between appointments. You can't do that with the NHS either. Anyway, referrals can be made by the person themselves, by a manager, by a GP. It's not easy. Just get on the phone, really. It's not difficult. Any questions? Sir?
17 to 18 weeks to see someone like yourself on a one-on-one basis is really long.
It is long.
It's my understanding that the NHS are improving on that and have been doing over the past few years. But what, in your view, what needs to be done differently to improve that?
To improve the NHS delivery.
It's way too long, isn't it?
It's just. It makes me physically ill. You know, I'm nearly kind of going, it's terrible. Yeah. What needs to be done? What barriers are they facing? Why can't they? I think. Is it a lack of people like you? Yeah, definitely. I think that there's a massive underestimation of people that are struggling. I think it's just people think there's enough money being thrown at it at the moment. I think that's just a fraction of the struggles that people have, because with the NHS, access to myself, you usually have to be really quite chronically poorly. So where you've been ill with depression for say 25 years, this is no exaggeration, to get access to treatment. But there's so many hundreds of thousands of other people that are suffering on a lower level that just can't get through the door, because chronic people are kind of coming through and being seen. So I think, in answer to your question, I think it's just there's such an underestimation of how people are really, really struggling. Did that make sense?
Yeah, so more needs to be done at sort of the grassroots level before it gets chronically bad.
I think, if I may get an awful cliche from the Football Association, grassroots, root, branch, tree, and just an appreciation really that, life is tough at times and people do need treatment. Yeah, sorry if I've not answered your question very thoroughly.
No,
yeah.
Ian, can I just say something there, that I do think that employers have a responsibility, a duty of care.
Yeah.
And that if they are at least, not with trauma cases, etc.
Yeah.
But at the very least, if they are talking to their employees on a regular basis. You should be checking in with your employees daily, one way or the other, whether they're away or whether they're in the office, wherever they are. You need to be checking that they're okay and reading the body language, etc. And a lot of employers do not do that. And if you can then build a really good working relationship, you can often spot the signs right at the beginning and offer them some sort of support. It doesn't necessarily have to be something that the employer pays for. There are plenty of voluntary organisations out there as well. And I do actually do a free help card if anybody wants it. Just let me know, just give me your business card and I'll send it to you.
Yep, indeed.
Yeah.
And those kinds of things, you know, if they are being sort of monitored and picked up on, then that just obviously fosters trust and respect, which fosters further loyalty with employees and improved productivity and so on. So I couldn't agree with you more, really. Yeah, totally.
Could I just ask, there appears to be evidence suggesting that it's mental health problems, to use your hated word, are a bigger problem among school age kids. Is that true? And if so, is that problem going to manifest itself in the working population in a bigger way going forward?
I think so. I think so. I work in adult mental health, so I don't see people under 16. But what has been an indication of what you're saying was, just before I left the NHS, sort of December, January, February last year and this year, there was a sort of a flood, really, for want of a better word, of people 16, 17, 18, mainly girls, racked with, and I use excessive terms, but I'm not being over the top, racked with doubts, concerns. Is it good enough? Is it bad enough? Will I manage it? Precious, precious, precious. So I suspect, that it's kind of the lid's come off, I think, now, really. And I think there'll be a domino effect, I would think, really. And I guess from ourselves, it's how is it managed, you know? Did that? Yeah.
So in the adult population that you treat, is there a gender imbalance in the same way that there is with youngsters?
Well, it's a funny old thing, because I don't know if you've rumbled me with my accent, but I'm from Yorkshire. And I started out as a student, as a student therapist about 2005. And for every 100 people that I see or saw, sort of one of them would be a man, you know, up north. And nobody would see a therapist, like. So it was all women. But I've worked in Lincoln, Skegness, Spalding, and Sleaford, and it's about 50-50, really. We have 5 appointments a day with the NHS, and some days it can be all men. So it's more of a mixture. Yeah.
Okay. Do you think that's a sign of the times that it's becoming more acceptable and there's more push on men to discuss their feelings and talk about if they have got concerns, stress, things like that? Do you think that's...
I do hope so, yeah. I do hope so. Because there's just a vast kind of containment of stuff that would affect anybody. You know, we're not robots, and we're just vulnerable at times, and something can piss us off or drag us down, and we're just human. So I absolutely hope so that men are just kind of inching towards dropping the macho thing or whatever it is that prevents them from, just saying, I don't feel great. I absolutely hope so, yeah, it needs to, yeah. What are you going to say?
Well, it leads on from the previous question about young people. My eldest son is autistic.
Yes.
And so I'm on various different forums. And do you think that the actual mental health service that young people get needs something doing about it? There was a lady on a group, and her daughter, she lived in Hull, and her daughter ended up being miles away in a secure unit because there was nothing closer. Like, by miles away I mean Burnley and Sheffield and various different things like this. Yeah. And from what she was saying, equally, the care that she was receiving wasn't really suitable for a child of her age, which was about 13 or 14 at that point.
Right, yeah, sure. What I know about child and adolescent mental health services in the county, again, is to get access to it, you have to be chronically not well, unfortunately.
Yeah, this girl was self-harming and attempting suicide, which was why she was...
Right, well,
in
that's probably the level that you would need to be at, sadly.
Yeah.
Where people, unfortunately, bang their head on the floor, or, you know,
Yeah.
they do cut themselves prolifically, really.
But surely, if there can be intervention, I was very lucky with my son. We had, he was non-verbal up until 5.5, so we had intervention with him very early on and had good intervention throughout. But surely, again, with mental health issues, the sooner you can put something quality into place, the less likely that anybody is going to get to the point where they're cutting themselves or harming themselves and things like that.
Absolutely. So to just intervene before it gets to that point. Yeah, completely. I couldn't agree more. Yeah. Sorry if I'm just being agreeable.
No, it's all right. So do you think that we're getting okay on the side of it's okay to have mental health issues as an adult, but actually as a child you shouldn't really, there is that aspect of that you shouldn't really have issues, but I mean we've just had children in need on and obviously seen a lot of things where there are children that are coping with things they shouldn't do.
Yeah, I think there can be a lot of sort of judgmentalism from adults towards children who feel down and want to be alone and kind of pull yourself together. I think again, I see that a lot. Or why do they feel depressed?
Yeah,
you know, you're
got
12.
nothing, yeah, you've got nothing to be.
It's not true. They experience stuff like anybody does, you know. So, yeah. Sorry if I've not said anything of any kind of merit there or anything. Are we all right, Jenny, for time?
Yeah. I think Lily.
Yeah, indeed, yeah.
Yeah, I was just interested in one of your earlier slides. You kind of broke down into 3 parts types of therapy.
Yes.
One in the middle, the
Yes.
high. I was just interested to learn a little bit more about that.
Yeah. Are we okay for time? 2 more minutes?
Yeah.
Is that all okay?
Yeah.
I'll go back so you can see it.
Yeah. That's it.
EMDR, just really quickly, was developed after a freak event late 1970s by Francine Shapiro. So Francine Shapiro was walking along the coastline and she said she had a troublesome thought in her head. And there was a bird there and a bird there, and what she said she did, she looked up, looked that way, like that. And then she went back to the thought, and then she said the thought wasn't as troublesome. And that was the little freak event that led to the development of EMDR. So the theory behind EMDR is that somebody has a traumatic event, say the classic one is a car accident, and the suggestion is that the trauma is kind of too much in one hit. So it goes in, but then when it's gone in, because it's too much in one hit, it gets stuck. And the suggestion is that the brain's neural pathways become blocked. Like if there's too much stuff goes in the drains are blocked or don't flush through or anything again, it's chock-a-block. And nothing goes in once the neural pathways are blocked by the trauma. The way that EMDR works is with eye movements. So I will sit with somebody and we'll kind of sit side by side like this. And then what they need to do is they follow my fingers like this from side to side. I can tell you, honestly, people that have had 3-4 nightmares every night where they wake up soaked and they wake up with a jolt, crying, thrashing around, it goes, the nightmares go. People that have been in horrific events, like seeing a family relative die in a burning car in front of them, have been able to turn that situation around with EMDR. It's amazing, EMDR. So the eye movements, the suggestion is that it unsticks the trauma. It's got blocked and set, but the eye movements unstick it and it moves round the brain's neural pathways and goes where it should have gone first time round, but it was too much in one go. Amazing EMDR. Without being unprofessional or breaking confidence in any way, it's also used for pain as well, and I've used it very effectively just in the last week for somebody with chronic head pain, and it's gone. The pain was like a boil. It had been there for 18 months, but it's gone. I don't know, maybe for across the board as well, but maybe for the football, EMDR is very effective as well with enhancing performance. The eye movements reinforce abilities that are already there. Have a look at EMDR, it's fairly mind-blowing stuff really. So.
There's an element of that in kinesiology, isn't
I guess it's a bit kinesthetic as well, yeah. Anyway, any more questions? Are we done?
Lovely. Well, thank you very,
That's
very
all,
much.
thank you.
Whenever I hear that, I always pick up on something different, and your EMDR is just something that, you know, you don't think, but it's quite simple in a way, isn't it?
So a lot of people say, local people who have really got better, much better, and they talk to their mates or their relatives. So you go and see this bloke, and what does he do? Well, he just goes like that in front of my eyes. And it goes, what? No, it really does.
Yeah. No,
It's bonkers,
incredible.
really. Yeah.
No, but it's fantastic, and it's great that we're talking about
It is.
Which thank you very much.
Thank you very much as
But
well.
we do have a draw, so for one of the books, and I've read it, and it's easy read.
It is easy reading,
and
yeah.
you do take things in from it, so it is very interesting. If anybody would like to put a card into the pot, then we'll draw one out for the book.
There you go. Only one.
Yeah, I'm just,
Yeah.
I just put the whole thing live on Facebook, really, so there's probably somebody in Nicaragua going, what's he on about?